In 1949, a Colorado-based company chose the name Jolly Rancher to give the world a, quote, friendly impression of a Western company. And although their main product, the hard sweet confection we have all come to love, would become a household name, the visionaries behind the product faced numerous challenges, from the fluctuation of sugar prices to fierce competition in the candy industry, or just the fact that their children's bedrooms were used as storage space for the product. This is the story of Jolly Rancher. I'm your host Ryan Soash, and you're watching Eats History. Our story today begins when a youthful Dorothy Bayman, born September the 13th, 1914 in Minneapolis, met airline pilot Bill Harmsen on a blind date at the Minneapolis Country Club. Some sources suggest it was love at first sight, and the courtship rapidly evolved into a fruitful marriage. The newlyweds moved to Denver in 1949 and bought a family farm on Ward Road, with Bill continuing his successful career as a pilot out of Denver. Very little information is available on this point in their life. However, we do know for certain that by 1949, Bill retired from the airline and, with his lovely wife, began a new life as an entrepreneur. The couple opened an ice cream shop called the Jolly Rancher, a tribute to their favorite Minneapolis hotel, the Jolly Miller. Other sources suggest that the name was also chosen to give a friendly appearance for the Western company. Either way, business was very slow. No one wanted to buy ice cream in the snow-covered state of Colorado, and basically, it looked as if the family was headed to the poorhouse. To make matters worse, their vendor was no good. So rather than giving up, the Harmsens decided to make their own supply, including the candy that they had been selling as an add-on to the ice cream. The idea was that offering the public something more zesty in the cold winter months might help them even up the score. Hence, the family hired a confectioner from the area who specialized in a unique type of translucent cinnamon taffy. Embracing the high quality of local Colorado sugar beet, the offer was an immediate hit, particularly their spicy variation, Fire Sticks. The candy was handmade in a big red barn. School children loved the Jolly Rancher's shop, but not for the ice cream, rather for the confection. And as the customer base grew, so did the menu, with hard taffy watermelon and green apples selling out daily. From there, the Jolly Rancher Company opened franchise stores across Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska, providing chocolate candies and a 5-cent hot cinnamon taffy stick. After noticing that the hard candy was selling the best, Jolly Rancher focused in on it to expand their hard candy line. As a result, growth was exponential. Before long, the family produced 1 million pounds of candy weekly. The downside of this success is that the barn was not sufficiently large, so candy was kept all throughout the family's house. Piled up on the dining room table, was stored on shelves, and kept in the cellar. The family's kids were not exactly enthusiastic about living in a real-life candy factory. In a Denver Post article, son Bill claimed to have suffered a sensory overload since his bedroom served as a storage room. He explained, quote, "I wake up every morning to the smell of candy and all these huge candy boxes all over my room. The constant exposure made me not so fond of candy." Even though young Billy was fed up with the candy, the neighborhood kids, and even the local politicians, had a completely different perspective. As the years passed, the family became famous for their yearly Halloween giveaway. The event was so popular that it caused traffic jams on the nearby Interstate 70. They then gained national notoriety when Colorado governor presented Jolly Rancher candy to visiting dignitaries, including former First Lady Eisenhower, who enjoyed it so much that she wrote a thank you note to the family. It's funny to consider how the second career of a retired airline pilot and his wife could go from a failing ice cream parlor with a lousy vendor to thank you letters from the First Lady. The only thing left was to pack up the home factory and start playing the corporate game. In 1966, the Jolly Rancher Company was sold to Beatrice Foods. Bill Harmsen continued as the head of the brand for another 10 years until retiring in 1977. Bill and his wife would spend the rest of their lives investing a fortune in collecting Western art. And when everything was said and done, this collection was recognized by some to be one of the most culturally valuable American collections of all time. Meanwhile, the brand they had started was still evolving. In 1983, Leaf Incorporated acquired several candy brands from Beatrice, including Jolly Rancher, and further invested in the product's development. Then, in October of 1996, the Hershey Company agreed to purchase the North American confectionery brands of Leaf, which included Jolly Ranchers, Whoppers, Milk Duds, Good and Plenty, Payday, and Health B. In 2002, Hershey closed the Colorado plant and moved the candy manufacturing to Mexico to save costs. This continued until 2014, when Hershey acquired the Ontario-based Allen Candy Company and moved the candy manufacturing exclusively to Canada. Despite the frequent change in venue in the later years, Jolly Ranchers was still being perfected, with what are now classic flavors finally appearing on the menu. Consider this. Back in the 1950s, Jolly Ranchers' original flavors were watermelon, apple, and fire stick. And to be fair, most of us probably never heard of the fire flavor. Only decades later, there was cherry, orange tangerine, lemon, grape, peach, and sour apple. And eventually, blue raspberry replaced lemon. These days, we have cherry, blue raspberry, grape, green apple, and watermelon. By the turn of the 21st century, their empire was complete. Jolly Ranchers were known to all, and it was time for the founding family to bid a final farewell. In 2001, the Harmsens donated over 3,000 pieces of artwork and artifacts, including paintings, textiles, and sculptures, to the Denver Art Museum, where Dorothy once served as board member. Peter Hasrick, director of the Institute of American Western Art and steward of the collection, went as far as to say that this collection is, quote, the foundation of their Western holdings. William passed away from prostate cancer in Wheat Ridge, Colorado on April the 10th, 2002, at the age of 89, and was followed by his beautiful wife Dorothy, who passed away in Denver at the age of 91. And now, the couple is buried together at the Mount Olivet Catholic Cemetery. And that's the story of Jolly Ranchers. If you enjoyed that episode, please let us know by clicking the subscribe button, and don't miss our episode about the history of aviation food by clicking right here. Otherwise, until next time, I'm Ryan Soash, signing off.